Welcome to Get Your Bell Rung Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, KG, and with me is my brother in wrestling, the wrestling enthusiast, Mark. What's up, brother?
Not a whole lot, man.
So let's get right into it, man. You may be surprised to hear this, and fans may be surprised to hear this, but last night's Smackdown wasn't very good. Look, this is the thing. The opening was somewhat exciting. Obviously, the ending, which we'll talk about, was
extraordinary.
Was above average. The whole middle part was shit, in my opinion. And even the opening, we've seen Brock Lesnar make his return at SummerSlam. Since then, he hasn't been on TV. He shows up last night there for freaking 4 minutes of nothing but, his move, destroying John Cena. And then he goes to the back and says, "I'll see you at WrestlePalooza, bitch." No story about why he's attacking John Cena. Why wasn't there Kathy Kelly or whoever rushing backstage to get an interview with Brock Lesnar? Why are you doing this? I mean, shit, we see them do backstage interviews for pointless shit all the time. But yet they don't do it for something as big as this. Why is Brock Lesnar attacking John Cena? Yeah, we know that Brock Lesnar over the years has been kind of the thorn in John Cena's side. But nonetheless, the whys. And I tell you, WWE is supposed to be the top when it comes to storylines. Triple H said not too long ago that there's nobody better when it comes to storylines, right? But yet, it seems like they've forgotten the storylines to all of this. I watch WWE for its storylines. I sure as hell don't watch it for their matches because although the men and women there are very talented, their matches are often lackluster. Just like I watch AEW for their matches. When it comes to storylines, AEW sucks, right? So in a way, I need WWE to stay in their lane and do what they do best, supposedly, which is the storylines. And I would say the same thing about AEW. I was kind of bored throughout the show. I'm just being honest.
I think the thing with Brock and John, I think it's going to be more of they'll reveal it later. Yeah, they're just going to go with, Jacques.
Jacques Cousteau.
Well, you got to combine the names. Brock and John have a past history, so they could just lead off with that. I mean, whether it's shitty or not, they could just go with that.
Right, but this is the thing. WrestlePalooza is in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, actually. Now they're stacking this PLE because at the time they thought they were going head to head with AEW. Tony Khan was very smart by moving times and avoiding that. Look, I think WWE is going to have problems with this PLE. Between their not being really building, with the exception of the Seth Rollins and CM Punk thing, there's really no build to this PLE storyline wise. And then my God, dude, do you understand exactly how to watch this PLE? Because they say, yeah, great. We know it's on ESPN. ESPN has so many different channels that it's confusing. They didn't even market this properly.
I don't know. I think last night they were trying to shore up some storylines, while confusing other storylines. I mean, Randy Orton versus Drew. Okay, we've seen this a million times. And actually we haven't, but not really excited to see this,
Right.
and I should
And
be because these are two top guys that are good.
yeah, absolutely. Now, John, first, thank you for tuning into the podcast. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. He says the first SmackDown segment was 48 minutes long. And he's right. And now someone say, yeah, but that's with John Cena's promo. That's with Sami Zayn coming out. That's with the whole opening, the challenge for Zayn's belt, and then with the match. But what did it really leave us? Nothing. It still left us with why is Brock Lesnar attacking John Cena? It left us with no answers. It didn't leave us with the desire of, holy shit, we need to figure out how to watch this PLE because we have to watch this match between these two guys.
Yeah, there could have been other segments that could have been inputted in this to
right.
enhance the show.
Right. Now,
I didn't realize it was 48 minutes, to be honest.
Right. And I know we kind of jumped into it, but since we're already there, let's talk about what happened with the first, the first segment of SmackDown, which again was 48 minutes. John Cena's talking about this is his last SmackDown that he's going to attend. It's in Chicago where he debuted against Kurt Angle. Sami Zayn comes out. Now, Sami Zayn was freaking booed out of the building last night. And it left me wondering why. You know why I think Sami Zayn's getting booed? Because his ring attire very much represents where his heritage, his country is from, right? And I don't think Chicago was having it. I really think that's why he got booed. I just don't think Chicago was having it last night.
Well, let's be clear. He didn't get booed until after his music stopped.
No, he got booed when he came out to the ring.
Oh, yeah?
I wanted to replay it, but the volume for whatever reason, and there's so many videos out there, and it's not just a straight video. I wanted to replay it for you, but Sami Zayn got booed the moment his music hit, actually.
Oh. Huh. I thought they were driving with the music and then booed him.
Nope.
Oh, all right. Fair enough.
Nope. But let's get into it.
All right. So, yeah, Cena comes in the ring and he's praising Chicago, and Chicago's the best thing since sliced bread, whatever. And then Sami Zayn comes out and says, hey, I know you debuted in Chicago. I debuted facing you for an open challenge. I'd like to offer an open challenge. Cena accepts. They have a match. And then, like you said, Brock Lesnar came out, F5'd both of them, and then walked off pretty much and said, well, I'll see you at WrestlePalooza, bitch.
Right. Now, this is where WWE was getting failed. Why didn't we see MFT, the Samoans, last night? Sami Zayn just beat Solo Sikoa for this title. No, nothing. Not there at all that night. Now, I've heard something very interesting. There's some people who believe that the reason why Solo Sikoa dropped the title to Sami Zayn was a punishment. Even though he wasn't involved in this, it was a punishment because his dad, Rikishi, has that promotion where we seen Psycho Stu got the shit. Psycho Stu got the shit kicked out of him, died in the ring, actually. They had to bring him back. Don't believe because WWE is affiliated with their ID program at the time with Rikishi, that this is why they took the title off of Solo. Now, you may be thinking, well, that doesn't make sense because Solo wasn't involved in that. But you know what? WWE has punished some of their talent for shit before that just didn't make sense. Now, the new news of that's coming out is that Psycho Stu is seeking an attorney and possibly going to sue. WWE can very much be involved in this lawsuit because of their affiliation with Rikishi's promotion, again, with their ID program that WWE has. Because look, what attorney's not going to read in between the lines, figure out that even though it's a simple little affiliation. It's nothing major. Not go after WWE. That's where the big money is going to be at, right? So that's kind of what is coming down the pipeline. Is that's possibly why it's like Solo had to drop the title to Sami Zayn. Your thoughts on that?
I don't know, because once they terminated their association, I don't know if you can still try to pin it on WWE. Maybe
Absolutely.
I don't know. I'm
They
not
were
aware.
because they were associated with them at the time. Absolutely, they could pin it on WWE. Which, look, don't get me wrong, I think it would be absolutely BS. I don't think it would be right, but a lot of shit happens in today's world that's not necessarily right.
True. No, I had heard rumors that they gave Tammy the U.S. belt to see what kind of reaction he'd get for a possible title run at a world title later on. That's what I had heard. Now, I don't know if there's any truth to that or not. I mean, when it comes to wrestling, there's so many internet rumors and
Right.
speculations. It's not even funny.
Right, and that could be the truth as well, right? But it's not looking good for Sami Zayn with him getting booed. And again, it just didn't make sense why they didn't have the Samoans, who are heels, right? My Family Tree, MFT, they're heels. Would it make more sense that these guys would see Sami Zayn just got beat down by Brock Lesnar? He's down and out. Here's Solo pissed off that he lost his title. It would just make sense why they would run to the ring after Brock leaves and then put a beat down on Sami Zayn. But nothing.
Or at the very least, have an interview about wanting his rematch.
Right. But nothing. Nowhere's to be found. To me, that is a fail.
Wow, you're hot today. Holy cow.
I mean.
All right, so next we go to Miz and Mello backstage with Nick Aldis. They want a tag team title match. I'm not sure if Nick granted them or not.
It was a weird interaction.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Once again, we have Carmelo Hayes kind of walking that line of babyface and heel right now. It looks like what they are leading to is Carmelo Hayes turning babyface and beating that in. Kim and The Miz is going to have a program together. Is this something I want to see? I don't know. I respect Miz. He's been with the company for a very long time. He's definitely earned his flowers. At the same time, I just don't have a lot of interest in anything The Miz is doing, or Carmelo Hayes for that matter. Carmelo Hayes was such a great talent with NXT. I really think that since he's come to the main roster, they've dropped the ball with him, much like they do a lot of times with talent that comes from NXT to the main roster.
Yeah, it's tough to make a transfer from big fish in a small pond to a small fish in a big pond.
It is, but yes, that lies on the talent, but it also lies on creative. And
I think it's more creative, to be honest.
Right.
Because I mean, if you're over in one promotion, it shouldn't be that hard to jump over to another promotion.
You would think, man.
Right. So I mean, whatever one promotion or one part of the promotion was doing, you just got to duplicate that process.
Right.
But they don't do it. You know. So, all right. So next we get Aleister Black vignette, and then we get a match with Priest and Aleister Black, and I actually like this match.
I did. What I loved about the vignette, and I don't know if you caught this or not, but Aleister Black said this: I left for a while and I've come back and it's the same shit.
Yep.
Now, one could say it's just a simple little promo, but there's a lot of truth in that promo. He left with the AEW. He's come back to WWE, and he's kind of in the same fucking position he was in before he left WWE the first time. It really, truly is the same shit. And again, this is another fail with WWE because this is a problem. Aleister Black is great in the ring. He's amazing when he does his promos, the vignettes, but they've not really developed his character in the fact that there's no really backstory about why is Aleister Black the way he is. Develop that character, do a backstory, something that the fans can buy into and really get invested in this guy. This man is such an underrated and underused talent on WWE.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know, I mean, you look back, did Jake the Snake really have a backstory?
Yeah, but you're talking about the days where the storylines weren't as big for the fans as they are now. Um, you know, but he did really have a backstory. You know, they used the fact that he had addiction problems. Um,
Yeah, that was after 4, 5, 6 years of being an
well,
entertainer.
but after that, that's when heavy base storylines really started to take a hold of
Sure,
professional wrestling.
sure.
You know, back in the Mid South days or the Georgia Championship Wrestling days, yeah, they had storylines, but they weren't these big storylines. The storylines back then were really told in the ring during the matches, unlike today, where these big storylines are really told outside of the ring.
Yeah, you're right. Um, and actually, it's probably more like 60-40 now.
Right.
60% storyline, 40% wrestling.
Right. And that's where AEW look. This, and people can shit on AEW all they want. And yeah, I get it. There's some of their shows here recently. They've been very lackluster, but I'll give AEW this. They do remind me of the days back when, because they are really good at telling those storylines inside of the ring. It's when they try to bring those storylines outside of the ring is where they're terrible at. But the action in the ring, they are great at telling stories in the ring, and WWE lacks when it comes to that.
Yep, pretty much. That's our biased opinion, though.
Well, right.
All right, so next, and you know, to be honest, in this match, you know, they refer to Damian Priest being such a karate expert, and you know, I have no doubt that he probably is. You know, and Aleister Black obviously has a martial arts background. Why has Damian Priest never used this?
Yeah, besides the kicks here and there, look, Aleister Black has one of the best damn kicks
Oh yeah,
in professional wrestling. I mean, he gets so close that it looks like he's making contact.
yeah, and when you got that kind of skill and
yeah,
training, it's hard to miss.
yeah, yep. Tyler Hilton says that I'm feeling like WWE creative team is bankrupt. They have issues with new ideas and storylines and storytelling. I think WWE needs stop make same match over and over again. Look, that is one of my complaints that I've had for a while. There's so many different talents there. There's so many different and new matches that they could have, but yet we see the same stuff over and over and over again.
Right, because they go to the well at the same time because it's what's made the money in the past.
Right. Right. How do you develop new huge stars if you don't utilize the people that you have?
You know, I'm trying to think of who they've actually created as far as a huge star in a long time. Nobody comes off the top of my head. I mean, you know, you got your Codys, you got your Ortons, but I mean, that was years ago. These guys were established.
Well, and Cody, WWE didn't create Cody. Cody did it himself when he left WWE, right? Look, it seems like in today's world, professional wrestlers, if they don't utilize social media and if they don't create themselves, then they're not going to go anywhere with WWE. You're right. A lot of the talent has created themselves within WWE. It's been a long time since WWE has actually had someone that they can say they are a homegrown superstar.
You know, the only person I can really think of off the top of my head is The Rock.
Well, I mean, it's the same era. The Rock. You had the Undertaker. You had obviously
By
Stone
the time
Cold
The
Steve
Rock came, The
Austin.
Undertaker already had 7 years, 6, 7 years in the WWE.
Right. No, but what I'm saying is it's still in that same era of when these guys really was WWE was creating home stars. You know, it was under Vince McMahon. I mean, look, people can give Vince McMahon as much shit as they want to give him. Yeah, he's made some mistakes, including in professional wrestling, but you cannot take away from the fact that he had a brilliant mind when it came to professional wrestling and creating stars. I mean, look at his track record. Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, JBL. I mean, the list goes on and on. Shawn Michaels. No, these are guys that Vince McMahon truly did create.
Elevate.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I think with Vince, it's not so much he created them, he elevated them. Because all I did was take the shackles off these guys and say, run wild with it,
Right,
you know? Because all the basics of all these performers were there. You know, you've seen bits and pieces, you know. Austin, the ECW,
right.
you know, was exactly Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know. But they didn't let it happen until what, 2, 3 years later?
Years later, yeah.
You
Yep,
know?
yep.
Um, you know, the Eddie Guerreros, the Layfields. Well, you know, I don't know. Layfield was a different story though, because he went from a redneck to an aristocrat, basically.
Right. And
I mean, that was a complete 180.
even with Steve Austin, I one reason I didn't mention him right away is I have a hard time giving Vince credit for that because if you really think about it, Stone Cold Steve Austin happened by accident. It just so happened that he cut a promo that he wasn't even supposed to be cutting. I can't remember exactly the story, but he ended up cutting a promo against Jake the Snake Roberts. And when the whole you know, Stone Cold,
316.
yeah, 316 thing happened, that was organic. That truly happened by accident. And I'm not taking anything away from Stone Cold. Obviously, that came from his mouth. That wasn't scripted. You know, that was brilliant, but he had no idea that that promo was the promo that was going to truly create one of the biggest stars to ever happen in WWE.
No, Vince didn't know. Neither did
Vince.
Austin.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Austin or Vince had any idea because
That'd be the
ultimately they didn't
catalyst.
know what he was going to say.
Right.
It just so happened that Michael P.S. Hayes said, hey, Jake the Snake just cut a promo. He did his Jesus stuff. He quoted scripture. And Stone Cold used that. Again, brilliant on his part, but it was absolutely by accident.
Right. Right. You know, but I mean, that's how it goes, you know.
Right. Yep.
All right. So next we have an interview with Tiffany, you know, which kind of reminded me of Tony Storm a little bit, you know, when she said she's going to put her foot in Tony Storm's eye of the storm.
Right.
You
Right.
know, no pun on the term storm.
Right.
But you know, it by no means was it anywhere near a Tony Storm interview. You know,
No, so this is what I'm confused about with her. Right after we seen this interview, they cut to Jay, and Jay once again called her the Barbie thing, which is something that they were actually, you know, using. Tiffany was dressing always in pink, kind of that baby, that Barbie doll thing. But why are they still going that way? Because Tiffany has really changed her style. She's dressing more in black every time you see her. Are they still going with this Barbie doll type character? Or, I mean, what's going on with her character? It's a little confusing.
Well, you know, it's just easy to pin the Barbie doll thing on the blonde, big-chested, blue-eyed girl. You know, I mean,
Right.
it's just hard not to escape from that.
Right. But it seems like she's starting to dress more and more revealing.
I don't know. There were times where I questioned how much more she could take off.
Yeah. Which, by the way, in case you haven't heard, her and her boyfriend broke up. Apparently, he dumped her.
Really? Wow.
Like, this goofy looking guy, I call him Gonzo. He has the pointy nose, a big bird, whatever. He actually dumps her.
You must have a side chick.
Something.
I don't know.
Must be what it, but you know what? Nikki Bella, she always destroys relationships. Or hey, maybe Charlotte Flair wasn't lying when she said, hey, your dude's in my DMs.
Right. Charlotte's quite a bit older than Ludwig, I think.
Yeah,
Well,
it doesn't
not
matter.
quite a bit, probably like 5 years.
Hey, we're all about starting rumors here, man.
Yeah, why not? Sure, if it gets us on the map. All right, so next we go to the whole Nia and Jade thing. I just didn't understand, but Jade finally said, "You know what? Once I win the belt, you can put your name in the hat, pretty much."
Now, I tell you what, every time I see Nia on TV, you can tell she's losing more and more weight, which is good for her, right? But what crossed my mind last night was this: you better be careful because your whole persona is built on being a big girl and why you're so dominant. You keep
And you
on
might have to
losing,
learn to wrestle.
right? You keep on losing weight. What are you going to rely on then?
Right. And you might have to learn to wrestle. All right, so next we go to Julia versus Minchu.
Minchi,
Minchi, whatever. This girl just gets the shaft. She's a former teenage knockout champion. She's actually a decent performer. Well, actually better than decent. She's a good performer, but she just gets a shaft.
right,
You know,
right.
she might get the belt just out of a good feeling moment.
The problem I have with this is I know there's supposedly some story going on between her and Julia's manager, right? But this match just kind of felt like it was thrown together just to take up time. It's like the whole show was really built on two spots: the John Cena spot and then the AJ Lee spot. It's like they
Yep,
didn't
pretty
care
much.
about anything that was in the middle.
Pretty much. I didn't look at it that way until you started bringing this up, and I was like, yeah, he's right. He's right. And believe me, it kills me to say you're right. All right, so next we go to Becky Lynch and Nick Aldris. And Nick pretty much, I don't know what Nick's problem was last night, but he was just stressed.
Yeah, he was.
And, or at least he was portraying he was stressed because he was certainly saying, I'm just stressed. I'm just, I mean, it was the whole Seth CM Punk in the same arena, which is, I hate to say it, but it's good for business.
It is, but make it make sense, man. It just this whole thing didn't make sense. Why was Becky Lynch
At
at
SmackDown.
SmackDown?
Right.
Right? Why
You're
was
on
Seth
you're on the
Rollins
Raw
there?
brand.
Right.
Right. So it was all about ratings last night.
Right. It was all about freaking ratings and the pop.
Right. Right. But in business like this, you are looking at the ratings. You have to look at the ratings.
Well, you do, and the fact of the matter is the previous SmackDown barely had over 1 million viewers.
Yeah,
Now,
well, I can guarantee
with
last night was over 3.
yeah, well, I tell you what, when USA is paying the money they're paying to have SmackDown on, and you only have 1 million views, I know that may seem like a lot, but it's not. Not in the world of television. They had to do
No.
something.
No, you need at least 6 million to warrant a good viewing.
I think when you start getting around 3 million is
Yeah, probably.
right.
6 might be high. So, all right. So, anyways, Nick tells Becky he doesn't want any problems tonight. And she assured him that there will be no problems tonight. All right. So next we go to Charlotte Flair whining about her injury and woe is me, and Bliss comes in as Dr. Lily, the inspector, and basically told Flair, you know what, it'll be right as long as you got friends.
Look, when they initially put these two together, I didn't like it. Then they started to grow on me. I started to appreciate what they were doing. And I know they're trying to make Charlotte look soft for the fans, softer for the fans, kind of redo her character so the fans will embrace her more. But last night, she came across as a whiny little bitchy heel,
Pretty much.
you
Pretty
know.
much.
And yeah, I didn't like the segment at all.
The best part of that
So
segment was probably Charlotte's thigh.
Tyler Kilton says it's true or false. Shawn Michaels is better booker than Triple H his year so far. I think Triple H his first year as creative is good. Yeah, I mean, I think that Triple H is starting to miss a lot. We professional wrestling, we need to have reality, something that makes sense so we can buy it, so we can suspend our disbelief and buy it as being something that can
Believable.
happen and believable, right? Um, Last night, man, there's just so much missed. And I'll get more into it when we get into the whole return with AJ Lee.
Well, that's where we're at because Seth.
Right. So
Seth
this
needs
is right. So we see Seth Rollins come out. He's up in the stand with the fans. Then, of course, we see CM Punk come out. Then
then you
Becky
see
Lynch.
Becky come out.
Well, Becky come out, then CM Punk. Now, this is the thing. This is the first thing. I'm a married man. I can assure you that regardless if my wife was right or wrong, if she was having problems with a guy, the last thing I would do would be way off somewheres in a distance and leave her alone in the ring
Right.
with said guy. That was ridiculous to me. Ridiculous.
Right.
I just shook my head. I mean, this is just not fucking believable. That was the first thing.
And then it just solidifies Punk saying, he's a coward. Well, yeah, obviously.
Right.
He's half a football field away.
Right. That was the first issue. Next issue was once again, Becky Lynch starts slapping CM Punk. Look, Monday Night Raw, when it ended with Becky Lynch smacking the shit out of CM Punk and CM Punk walking away, he looked like a pussy, right? Last night, same thing. Of course, he says, I don't hit ladies. When in the blue hell has Becky Lynch represented a fucking lady? This is a woman who's an athlete, who was a wrestler. She's called the man. She put her hands on CM Punk, but yet I don't hit a lady. Now, we went through the whole thing of CM Punk saying that he has women that can come to whip her ass. He mentioned his sister, which was ridiculous. Let's break this down. My sister could whip your ass. You're telling this to a woman whose moniker is the man, IC champion, but yet a non-trained professional wrestler, they're saying could come and whip Becky Lynch's ass. To me, that was just ridiculous. It got even more absurd to me. Because as he's walking out the ring, Becky Lynch says, "Oh, do you have any other women that you claim to whip my ass?" Gee, let's think about this. He's married to a professional wrestler, AJ Lee. AJ Lee comes out. She's in her 30s, right? In her late 30s.
Same age as Becky.
No, but hear me out.
Okay.
In her late 30s, and she comes out skipping to the ring like she was still fucking 16 years old. I hated her entrance. To me, that was bizarre, and it took away from a lot, in my opinion. And then Becky Lynch. She is the only person in the entire world who was shocked that AJ Lee showed up. Her facial expression of AJ Lee actually being there, again, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Let's go back to Becky Lynch's moniker. She is the man. She is the IC title. She is the toughest bitch in professional wrestling, and yet she freaks out and she's scared by a woman who might weigh 100 pounds soaking wet. That's just terrible. Whoever told her to act like this in creative should be fucking fired. That was absolutely terrible. AJ Lee looked great. I'm glad she's back, but this whole presentation of it was just absolutely terrible, in my opinion.
It was like she never left. The whole entrance, the whole stick,
right,
was like she did 10 years ago.
Yeah,
so it was nostalgic.
Right. So side note, Smackdown's ratings, but NFL's stats, football season last night. Yeah, I mean, I give Smackdown that, but talking about they barely had over 1 million. You do have to take into consideration that they had a pretty big football NFL game last night. The 49ers against, I don't follow football, but I know that it was a pretty big game. A lot of professional wrestling fans are also football fans. So I'll be a little I'll give SmackDown a little grace. I'm sorry, the night before when it comes to that. Uh when they didn't have a whole lot of, their viewership wasn't that great a week ago. But nonetheless, man, they needed big numbers. I'm sure they got it last night, but the whole presentation was just terrible. What I really got a kick out of was reading so many comments from fans, from men, saying how they cried when AJ Lee came back. What the fuck? Look, I don't want to take anything away from AJ Lee, but it's like people have forgotten that when she was with WWE last time, it wasn't like she was this massive, trendsetter um, with the company. She had a lackluster title run, but all of a sudden now she's like the best thing since fucking Hulk Hogan. I don't understand it. Again, props that she's back. They got the numbers they wanted, but shit just doesn't make sense to me.
Man, you just took the whole wind out of the whole segment. The whole wind. I was ready to give SmackDown a good review last night just on AJ showing up.
I'm going to
Because
be honest, man. I mean,
I wasn't a huge fan of AJ, but I enjoyed her. I enjoyed her psycho uh crazy persona, you know. It was a feel good moment when her and Punk hugged and she jumped up in his arms,
absolutely it
you
was.
know.
Again,
Um
I'm
did I
glad that
did
she's
I
back,
get
but
did I get teary eyed over it? No. Did I have a smile on my face? Yeah, I did. And
yeah,
I'm not a huge Punk fan either. I like
right,
his promos, but I could do without him in the ring, to be honest.
right. Well, and again, it was a feel good moment. I'm glad she's back. She looked terrific, but the presentation was terrible. And the fans' reactions, how again, I don't get how the fans just don't remember. Look, she had her most successful run with WWE was when she was the fucking general manager. It wasn't even when she was wrestling.
I completely forgot about that.
Yes. Again,
I
exactly.
completely
Why?
forgot about
Because
that.
it was fucking forgettable.
Wow. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. All right. Well, anyways, so yeah, AJ ends up beating the snot out of Becky, and and once Punk gets in the ring, Seth comes down and gathers up his wife and carries her out. Um,
Yeah.
and that pretty much ends the show.
Now, AJ Lee reportedly, I don't think it was on camera, but apparently she picked up the IC title. That
Yeah.
was enough in the ring. Which does this mean that we're going to eventually see her go for the IC title? I don't know. I don't know if this is just a one-off for WrestlePalooza. I have no idea of what their plans are for AJ Lee.
Oh, they can milk this for a good 6 months, I think.
But it's a matter of, does AJ Lee want to be part of WWE for that long?
Right. But again, we didn't think Punk would ever return to WWE.
Well,
You know.
right. But the difference is WWE never tried to get CM Punk back. WWE reportedly has been trying to get AJ Lee back for a while now,
Yeah,
even
that's
before
true.
CM
That's
Punk.
true.
So it's a matter of, does she want to be back? And is she going? I'm assuming she's going to be on the Raw brand because that's where Punk's at. The whole storyline with Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch is on the Raw brand.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Honestly,
But then you look at last night. Does the
right,
brand matter because Seth and Becky showed up and they're on
right,
Raw?
yeah,
You know,
exactly. I'll be honest with you, grade wise, I'm giving them a fucking C minus. They're lucky I'm not giving them a D.
you're giving them what? A D?
No, a C minus.
Oh, a C
Lucky
minus.
they're not getting a D because again, great spot, somewhat with a John Cena thing, but again, there was so much there that wasn't explained. The AJ Lee, great spot, her coming back, but it was done terribly. The whole middle of the show was not very good, in my opinion. Yeah, C minus.
Well, I was going to give them a B, but now that you've tore it all apart, I have to go with a C. You crushed my feel good moment with AJ. You
That was
know,
my goal.
yeah. Well, you succeeded because you just crushed it.
My goal was to come on this podcast and give you a soft on.
A what?
A soft on.
You took my chubby away.
Anyway, guys, that will wrap up this episode of Get Your Bell Rung Pro Wrestling Podcast with the review of Smackdown.
For lack
C-.
thereof.
Yeah, Mark gave it a C. Join me next week, guys. I have some great guests coming on. Please follow me on Facebook. I have a list of everyone that will be coming up. Until then, unless Mark, you have anything to say, get your bell rung. Please subscribe, and you guys have a great weekend.
Yep. Thanks, guys.